Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number 1 to 28, and today I am jumping on the bandwagon. Not really, but I am doing something today that I've been criticizing a lot of other channels for in videos as recently as like 2 days ago. But a line has been crossed, and it's something that I need to talk about. So, Vecna, Eve of Ruin. Anyone that doesn't know, Vecna, Eve of Ruin is what's looking like the final 5th edition new adventure. So this is the final new adventure that's being released for D&D 5th edition. And it's also the first time that they have done max level content since technically Tyranny of Dragons could go all the way up to level 20. You didn't have to, and you had to work really hard to get your character up to level 20 by the end of that. But you could run that adventure at level 20. Princes of the Apocalypse, the Elemental Evil one, that one topped out at like 16 or 18. And then from then on, adventures in general would end around level 12. So it's the first time we've seen a D&D 5th edition book that specifically, not only is it stated to go up to level 20, but it starts at level 10. So this is actual high level content. It's not something that Wizards of the Coast has done for 5th edition in a really long time. Effectively, since I think like season 3 or 5, I can't remember which one. I believe season 3 had some tier 4 content in it in the Adventurers League, and that's really been the only stuff you could get for high level play. So why do I care about Vecna? Well, again, I own every single 5th edition book that is currently in print. I own all of them digitally, and I own almost all of them physically as well. Because I used to buy exclusively. I used to buy the physical books because I've been playing since the very beginning, and then for a little bit I went digital only because it was just easier for me. And then when they started adding the digital physical bundles, every single digital physical bundle for every single book I have purchased. And I have been happy with most of them. And I like the fact that I have physical books for basically the entirety of 5th edition. Like, that makes me very, very happy. So, anyone that's been following this channel knows April was not a good month for me. We had an unexpected financial emergency that happened. The water heater, which is located in the room right next to the room that I sleep in, blew up and leaked all over the basement, caused a little bit of flooding, and actually ruined some of the carpet in my room. And it cost us a decent amount of money to fix, money that I didn't have budgeted. So last month, I quite literally just didn't have the funds to be able to pick up the physical digital bundle of Vecna. But I kind of went, you know what, it's perfectly fine, because once May comes around, I can get it in May. And that's what I did. I purchased it a couple of days ago using the new D&D Beyond storefront. And that's where the problem comes in. See, One of the reasons why I've always gotten the digital physical bundle instead of just buying the digital version or just buying the physical has been that every single one of them has come with 2 weeks of early access to the content. And when I was making in-depth reviews and stuff like that for D&D stuff, which I fully intended to do for Vecna because it was the last book and it's looking to be really good, having an additional 2 weeks on anyone else being able to get reviews meant that my reviews would get more views. Which for this channel meant that I might get over 100 views, which is not a lot. But for me, that's a lot. So getting the early access has always been something really, really important to me. And had I purchased the digital physical bundle before April 30th, I would still have early access. I would be able to read the book right now. And probably what would be happening right now is I would be going through the book and I would be figuring out what it's going to say for my in-depth review. If anyone hasn't guessed yet, that's not happening. You want to know why? I did get the physical digital bundle, but the changes to the D&D Beyond store, the way that it used to work is if you wanted to buy the digital version, you would buy it directly through D&D Beyond, and then when it actually released, it would automatically be unlocked for your account. If you wanted the digital physical bundle, you would click on a button and it would send you to a different store. And that is the store where you would get your digital physical bundle, and as part of that purchase, they would give you a code that you would go back to D&D Beyond, you'd input that, and it would unlock all of your pre-order bonuses. It would also unlock the early access whenever that was available. That website, the alternate website, still exists for everyone outside the US. So if I didn't live in the continental US, I believe if you live in Alaska or Hawaii, you still use the other one. If I didn't live in the continental US, I would have early access right now. But because I live in the continental US, not only does it default you to the D&D Beyond store, where the way to get the digital physical bundle is significantly more complicated. It involves you add the physical book to your account first, and then you have to switch over and add the digital to your account, and then it gives you the discount for the physical digital bundle. It also doesn't come with early access anymore. And nobody told us this. Again, it would be different if early access was not something that had been established for years at this point. Or if they had outright said, hey, by the way, you don't get early access with the digital physical bundles anymore. Or if on the ramp up to creating this new store, they would have said, by the way, if you still want early access and you live in the US, you need to buy the books before April 30th, because as soon as April 30th comes, you no longer have access to that option. None of that stuff was told to us. After the new switchover happened, the only indication we got that early access is no longer a thing is it didn't specifically say on the website you would get early access. It said nothing about, hey, early access is no longer a thing. It just didn't list it. And every time somebody asked questions about it on the D&D Beyond forums, they got bubkiss. There are half a dozen different empty threads where people go, hey, I want to get the early access. How do I do that now I live in the States? And it would never be replied to until I think yesterday. And we'll talk about that in just a second here. So, I mean, easy solution then. Just don't buy it on D&D Beyond. Go to the other website. I did that. Because I'm like, no, I want the early access. So I actually forced them to let me go to the other website. and I filled in all my information, and then when I picked the US, it said, we can't ship there. So you can't buy this. So it's not just that, oh, I bought it the wrong way, because at that, I would just be upset with myself and I'd be like, okay, my fault. No, they actively prevented me from getting my early access. That again, I have gotten for every single book that has offered it since it first started. And I am pissed. Now, I am not going to go on a tirade to claim that Wizards of the Coast is this horrible, evil, disgusting company, or Hasbro ruins everything. No. I think this is significantly more simple, because I did finally find a thread this morning where someone from the D&D Beyond staff was actually replying to people and trying to answer some questions. And so I don't have the thread up here right now. And at this particular moment, I'm upset enough that I don't want to look it up again, because it was a pain in the ass to find. But this particular employee that shall remain nameless, because I can't remember what their name was, but they are an official employee. Like, it's been confirmed. They're an actual employee of D&D Beyond. And they seem less than thrilled about this. They seem just as happy about the situation as I am. Let's put it that way. So the employee finally confirmed, no, you cannot get early access anymore. And when they ask, well, how are we supposed to know that? They go, well, there were multiple articles that talked about it. And they listed both articles. And neither article actually says you can't get early access anymore. All they say is that if you buy the bundles, their release date is end of May or mid-May, something like that. So they didn't specifically say you can't get early access, but on one of them, there is an edit note where it says it was edited on May 2nd, so 3 days after you would have had the ability to get the early access. It says it was edited to remove the reference to early access. So apparently earlier versions of those articles, because they were published before this new storefront was a thing, earlier versions of those articles did say that you could get early access, because at that point you could. And then they just edited them afterwards, after it was impossible for you to get it, to take out any reference of you being able to do that. To say that this is a shitty move is beyond an understatement. I am furious. I am mad enough right now that I was planning on getting, there's one more book that's coming out, Quest for the Infinity Staircase, which that book, the reason I say that Eva Vecna, or Eva of Ruin, is the last new D&D book being published for 5th edition, the reason that I'm saying that is the Infinity Staircase are not new adventures. They are updated adventures from previous editions, which they have done that over and over and over again, and they've been pretty good each time. Like, I've enjoyed, they basically had 3 kinds of adventure modules, or adventure books that they've published for 5th edition. You had your original adventures. Those are like Tyranny of Dragons, Prince of the Apocalypse, Out of the Abyss, Curse of Strahd. Those are all technically new, despite the fact that Curse of Strahd was kind of an update of the old Ravenloft modules. It was still technically new. Same with Prince of the Apocalypse. It was technically a retelling of Temple of Elemental Evil, but it was brand spanking new, and it used it. It's inferior to the Temple of Elemental Evil, let's put it that way. It's not a bad book, it's just not the Temple of Elemental Evil. Then they would do update compilations, where basically they would take a bunch of old adventures and they would update them to 5th edition, and they put them all together in a collection. And those have been pretty good. And then the other things that they would do with things where they would just have a bunch of there'd be new adventures, but they'd all be mini adventures or one shots, not like full campaigns or anything like that. And those are things like Candlekeep Mysteries, or what's the other one? The one that was written by entirely people of color that I can't remember what it was called anymore. Anyway, so those are the three kinds of books. The last book that's going to be coming out for 5th edition before the 5.5 that's coming out in August is this compilation of old adventures. And I was planning on doing the digital physical bundle of that as well, because again, I like having that. And I'm, depending on how they deal with this, I may not be doing that anymore. I may not, to be perfectly honest, I may not be getting the 2024 update after this, because again, I am that upset about this. It feels like an absolute betrayal. Now, a lot of people are blaming this on the greed of Hasbro or anything like that. I don't think that's what's happened here. My theory, and that is all this is, it is a theory based on my own experiences with updated storefronts, just in general, is the new storefront simply doesn't have a way on the technical side to give you early access. Like, that is my theory here, because it's, to me, it's the only thing that makes sense, because again, they've already been selling this particular book with early access, and early access goes live today. So everyone that ordered before already has access to the book. So it's not like they've decided, no, we're never doing early access again. That would be monumentally stupid. So I don't think it's just like, no, we decided to fuck over these people in particular. I think as of right now, because the new storefront is very, very new and it's already not working great. It's a bad storefront. The old version of the storefront was significantly better. Other things that happen with the new storefront, you can no longer buy stuff piecemeal. It used to be that if you didn't want to buy an entire book, you just wanted to buy like a new subclass or something that was in that book, you could buy just the subclass, and they generally only cost a few bucks. And then if you eventually did decide that, hey, I do want to buy this, it would discount the cost of the book based on what you've already purchased for it. That used to be how things worked. You can't do that anymore. And a lot of people are going, God, Hasbro is just so greedy. They just want a nickel and dime. I don't think that's what this is. Because again, from a business standpoint, that makes no sense. From a business's standpoint, limiting the way people can buy your product is monumentally stupid. There's no reason you would ever do that. My theory, again, pure theoretical here, my theory is however they built the new storefront isn't able to understand different versions of the same product effectively. So my theory, and again, I have nothing to back this up other than my own very basic understanding of how storefronts work. My theory is, in this new version of the storefront, it has every single title listed as its own kind of complete object. And for whatever reason, the actual back-end mechanics of it doesn't allow it to chop up that product into smaller pieces to sell individually, but still be a part of that project, which is things that I have seen in other inventory systems effectively, where you would have to have completely separate SKUs. Was the words that we used in retail. You would have to have completely separate SKUs for a full case of something versus individual packages of something. And that, even though whenever you ordered them, you would only get cases, and to refill your stock of individuals, you would basically have to break open the cases and then basically in the computer you would have to take one of the cases and get rid of it, and then add a case worth of individuals, and they would actually have different barcodes on them. Like, again, that's how some inventory systems work. So my assumption on this is the new storefront uses a similar style of inventory system to tell what products you own, and it can't understand that this little piece can be a part of this bigger thing when they're technically two different things that sell for two different prices. That is my theory. And the reason that early access is no longer working for this, and they're no longer selling it through this as a storefront, is, again, the storefront can't understand that it's literally the exact same product, just with a different street date. Which, if you're not familiar with the term street date is just when a product can actually go on the shelves. In the movie business, street dates are extremely important, and if you violate street dates, you can get a bunch of fines for doing it, and you can actually get your store blacklisted from the movie company that makes whatever movie you broke the street date for. So anyway, that is my theory. The one thing that supports this theory is the D&D Beyond employee that was replying to the thread that I found. Basically said, there is nothing I can do about this. All I can tell you is keep leaving feedback, because your feedback is going to be my ammunition when I bring this up with the higher ups. And then later on, they mention there is going to be an announcement made about this issue. Look forward to it soon. And they specifically said, I know that sounds cryptic, but I literally can't say anymore. So, Dungeons & Dragons is aware of the problem. I think they have always been aware of the problem, which is why they've done the stealth editing and stuff like that, or they've been aware of the problem since at least the launch. Because again, the changes, according to what I saw in this thread, the change didn't happen until 3 days after the store launched. So it's possible that they didn't realize that this wasn't something that they could do anymore. And so they're probably working on a fix for it, but the fix that they're working on is probably not going to be something that we're happy with. And so they are covering all of their legal bases by going, well, no, if you purchased it, when you purchase it, because that's really all that matters legally, is what were you told when you purchased it. Not a month ago when they announced it, what were you told in the store when you purchased it. And there is such a thing as a bait and switch. Bait and switch is an actual legal term. And basically what it is if a business advertises a really, really good deal, but when people come into the store, the deal is no longer available, and the store kind of pivots people to a more expensive or a less valuable deal. That's called a bait and switch. And in order for that to be illegal, you basically have to prove that the store never intended to give people the deal that they were advertising, or they intentionally advertised something that they had such limited stock that the vast majority of their customers would never be able to take advantage of that deal. That is an illegal bait and switch, and it is something that can get companies fined by the FTC. There we go. I had to figure out which F acronym it was. Yeah, the FTC has gone after companies for doing that. It is an illegal business practice. So in order to prevent something like that happening, you basically have to be very, very careful about your advertising and say very specific things. And as far as I can tell, it looks like they have covered their ass pretty well. Now, if the right court got a hold of this, like California, the courts there tend to be very, very pro-consumer in general, to the detriment of consumers, to be perfectly honest, because they've passed quite a few laws and made quite a few rulings that were batshit nonsense that ended up costing consumers shit tons of money, because businesses either closed because they couldn't deal with the really bad rulings, or prices skyrocketed because in order to deal with the new rulings, the companies had to fire copious amounts of staff and then raise their prices to be able to stay in business. So theoretically, if someone was to take them to court and was to get a very, very preferential judge, they might be able to get them into trouble for this, but it would be real hard, to be blunt. Especially since Wizards of the Coast is incorporated in Seattle, which is nowhere near as friendly to consumers as California is. Most businesses will not incorporate in California because it's just too expensive to incorporate there. Basically, you have Silicon Valley and movie studios are the only ones that will incorporate that are there, and that's because they effectively control the economy there. Everyone else won't. And you're starting to see a lot of companies move out of California because of all the nonsense, moronic shit that Newsom has been doing over the past 4 or 5 years. And California had a chance to get rid of him, and they voted him back into office, and he tanked their fucking state because it annoys the hell out of me that they had a chance to save their state and they just went, no, we like watching it swirl around the toilet bowl. Anyway, so yes, I am extremely upset right now. I wanted to be able to do an in-depth review of Eve of Ruin, and I'm just not going to be able to do that. I may not review the book at all after this. I'm going to wait to see what their official statement is. Again, my theory is, based on how this has happened and the responses I have seen from this single employee, and that is all I have. This is all theory. I do not have any insider sources. You guys have access to all the information I have access to. My theory is the back end of the new system simply won't allow them to do that stuff anymore, just because of the underlying inventory system that they've decided to use. Because here's another news flash. Most companies, if they're developing an online storefront, will not develop it from scratch. They will always use something that already exists, because 9 times out of 10, the stuff that already exists is perfectly fine, and it will cost you significantly less money to buy either a license for it or to just purchase it outright than it is for you to spend copious amounts of money having coders create an inventory system for you. Inventory systems are not that spectacularly complicated. And so it's not like creating your own inventory system is going to give you this amazing edge over other people. However, it does mean that if you choose the wrong one, like I'm assuming they did here, it causes issues. And it might have been in their best interest to, first of all, just not update the damn storefront. This was monumentally a bad update. Nobody has been happy with the update. It's not easier to use. It doesn't look better. The only benefit of it. The other thing that I really hate about it is there are 1 or 2 little mini books that I don't own. And so and they're generally $5 or $6 a piece. And so I wanted to be able to get them. They're digital only. They don't have physical versions, but they're just little extra things. And so I wanted to go get them to just to see see what exactly they were, and just to have them, because again, I enjoy having all of that stuff. And the new storefront doesn't tell you what you already own, whereas the old storefront, it literally wouldn't show you products that you owned already. So it won't even tell me that I already own this or anything like that. And because I have content sharing on, and other people in my D&D campaigns buy books for themselves as well, I have access to a lot of these things despite the fact that I haven't purchased them. And as soon as I end the campaign that has the content sharing in, which will happen eventually, I will lose access to it. And I like having access to everything. So yeah, I have no idea what I own or I don't own, which annoys the hell out of me. It's not easier to use. The old one was significantly easier to use. And now it's no longer giving us early access, which is a really, really big deal. And I can't just use the old system that was working fine because they broke the old system by not allowing people to use the old system, which again worked perfectly fine. I don't understand why. Again, to me, this sounds like another leaving money on the table situation with this new storefront. It's like, no, we're sending people, we're running two different storefronts as being really, really annoying. You know, if we could just keep everybody on D&D Beyond, which this is a real thing, psychology wise. The more hoops you have to jump through to purchase something, the less you are going to purchase it. So there is a definite advantage to them, to people being able to buy physical books on D&D Beyond, whereas before you had to go to a separate website. There is a massive benefit, especially since the separate website has its own login. Like the two websites are not linked in any way, shape, or form. So there is a benefit to them improving the storefront on D&D Beyond and adding these features. However, the number of features that they had to destroy doesn't make up for it. And like I said, this thread, one of the employees said they are going to be making an announcement. They did not give a time frame for the announcement, so we don't know when it's going to be coming, but we should be hearing from D&D Beyond. My guess is we will hear something from them either today or tomorrow. It may not be the full announcement, but they're at least going to acknowledge, hey, for everyone getting pissed off about early access to Eve of Ruin, we've heard you. We're working on it. They will say something, because I think they learned from the OGL debacle that saying nothing will cost them lots of money. So I think they're going to say something. As far as when an official announcement comes out, that I don't know. I think they are going to wait until they have an actual solution for us, which may take a while, because again, it's looking like, to me at least, that this new storefront has created problems that they weren't expecting. So I do not believe this is a cash grab. I do not believe this is corporate greed or anything like that. I firmly believe that this was them attempting to update the storefront, and unfortunately the way they chose to update the storefront prevents them, like literally makes it impossible for them to do things that they used to be able to do. Which again, I have seen this happen in retail. I've seen registers get updated, and customers will come in and go, hey, I need you to do this and this and this. We'll go, we physically can't do that anymore. Well, why not? You guys have done this for 2 years. I said, yeah, and we would love to do it again. But physically, the system here does not give me that option anymore. I do not have any way to do that kind of a transaction anymore. I'm really sorry, but literally, aside from me going into the safe and giving you cash, which, by the way, would cause me to get fired and prosecuted, there is nothing I can do here. I have seen this happen before. This feels like this is the same thing. It just really pisses me off. Because 9 times out of 10, again, the reason stuff like this happens is the people that make the decisions about this in retail were people that had never set foot in a store as an employee before. A lot of them had not set foot in a retail outlet in years. And most of them had never worked retail in their lives. And so they would create these solutions to problems that they thought existed, and it would create more problems because they didn't know how people actually use the system. And I think that's probably what happened here, is people that have never purchased anything on D&D Beyond decided to fix a problem, which it was a problem. The fact that you couldn't buy physical books on D&D Beyond in the digital physical bundle, you had to go to a completely separate site with a completely different login, completely different payment system. Like, that 100% was a problem and it needed to be fixed. The way that they decided to fix it was fucking stupid. So yes, I'm upset. I'm looking forward to hearing from D&D Beyond. I'm hoping we get something today or tomorrow, at least acknowledging that, yes, this is a problem. We're aware of it. We're working on it. And the solution that I would like would be, hey, we fucked up. And so what we're going to do is there's simply going to be no early access for Eve of Ruin. The digital version for everyone is just available now. Like, the only way you can get you could get early access before is you had to buy the physical digital bundle. If you bought the digital only, you just didn't get early access. So a solution that I think might work, and I think it'd be the only thing that's going to salvage this for them, would be them saying, hey, we fucked up. Going forward, early access is not going to be a thing. However, because we're the ones that fucked up here, what we're going to do is we are just going to give you, we're just going to give everyone that has a digital copy early access. And it's not going to be early access, it's just going to be the digital version comes out early. That is what I would like to happen. Whether or not that happens, we will have to see. Again, there are so many things, and this is what upsets me so much when people start kind of bitching and moaning, exactly like I am, is a lot of times they don't take into account that the solution I'm proposing may not be possible with their system. Like, it may create significantly more problems. Like, what if in their system now the digital version and the physical version are linked to where as soon as the digital becomes available, they're automated, because shipping is automated. It's not that, there's somebody sitting there going, okay, now go ahead and... No, all of this stuff, like all the books are either on their way to facilities or already there, and shipping out that massive amount of books takes a shit ton of work. Especially since they also have to ship them out to retailers and then to individuals and stuff like that. Like, that is a huge logistical nightmare. So theoretically, what if they turn on early access for the digital version, it automatically cues all the computers to start sending out orders for things that they don't have in the right place? And then it might also cause issues for retailers who physically don't have their books yet. Getting out, like, there's so many things that might make it so it's just not possible for them to do that. And while that would make me extremely upset, again, from having worked on the other side, I understand there may not be a good solution to that. But right now I'm pissed, and it is the only thing I can think about. Thank you to everybody that checked out the new Essential Essence 20 series. I am thrilled with the feedback that I'm getting from it. I'm already working on the next episode. Thank you very, very much for that. We are still going to be covering a lot of Essence 20 stuff. I got the 2 books, the Beneath the Helmet and the new G.I. Joe equipment book. I own both of those books now. I have the digital versions already because they've already been released. The physicals, I believe, are already released as well, so they should be shipped within a few days here or something. So I might have the physicals before I get my in-depth reviews, but I will be doing in-depth reviews for them. I'm still massively sold on Essence 20. I love it. Also, the new Final Fantasy 14 tabletop RPG is coming out in a few weeks. I'll be doing an in-depth review on that. So there's still going to be awesome stuff happening, and I haven't written off D&D yet. But I'm real fucking close at this point. This has infuriated me in a way that I have not been upset with a company in a long time. And again, I don't believe this is Wizards of the Coast's issue. I definitely don't believe it's D&D Beyond's problem. I think, again, it's a moron at upper management that made a decision that they didn't understand. Which happens all the time. And if I had a penny for every time a customer would come in and scream at me personally and a few times try to physically assault me because of something that I had no control over and I did everything I could to help them out on, I would be fucking rich. So this is not me telling people to go attack Wizards of the Coast or D&D Beyond or anything like that. This is me telling everyone, if you were expecting to be able to get early access, you're not getting it. You're going to have to wait until I think it's late May, 24th, I think, is when it comes out. Or maybe the 21st, somewhere around there. Late May. You're going to have to wait to be able to look at Vecna Eve of Ruin, which everything I've read about it, it looks amazing. It looks like the kind of swan song for 5th edition, because it's bringing back, effectively, it's just bringing back all of the old adventure modules. Like Strahd shows up again. You go to Eberron. There's some... I believe there's some spell jamming that you have to deal with. It deals with Dragonlance. I'm not sure about the Dragonlance. I think it might deal with Dragon. But basically, this is a tour de force of D&D 5th edition. So it feels like a really great swan song. I'm not upset that I purchased the books. I'm upset that I don't have early access right now, and I can't do my in-depth review. If I actually made money off of this channel, I would be exceptionally upset, because this would be costing me additional money from revenue from my videos. I don't make money on this channel, so that doesn't matter. But I can see other reviewers that may not have gotten it in time being very, very upset about this, because it does hurt their ability to make it, and they might go as far as to sailing the high seas to be able to get their review content. So we will see. Anyway, that's all for me today. Please check out Essential Essence 20. I'm really, really happy with it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.